Welcome to Cafe Grit. My name is Beth Campbell, and I am the author of Where the Hell is My Bacon?, a book about a corporate team that triumphed over shitty leadership with the help of fried pork. I open Cafe Grit as a place where you can join me in figuring out how to channel your grit and find your voice in the world, whatever that means for you. This is the place to go when you've got the hankering for purpose, the taste for fulfillment, and you're tired of living the rat race. Thanks for stopping in. Cafe Grit is now open for service. Hey everybody, welcome to Cafe Grit. I'm your host, Beth Campbell. This is a place to go when you've got a hankering for Ben & Jerry's ice cream. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? I meant you've got a hankering for purpose, a taste for fulfillment, a taste for fulfillment, and you're tired of living the rat race. I thank you so much for being here, and excuse my little trying to have fun with my own tagline. It is a lovely day here in Central Virginia, and if you cannot tell, I'm kind of in just like a good mood. A lot of good universe stuff happening over the last few weeks, and I don't know, hope to talk to you about that in the next few episodes. Today, I'm actually going to talk to you about a course I just finished called Classy Vintage Mastery, led by the amazing Stella Scott. It's a clothing course, and it was so easy and so fun. And as part of my homework, I got to go shopping in thrift stores. So, I mean, what better of a class is there to take than that? So I'll talk about that in a minute. But otherwise, a lot of universe things happening in my life, really working on my mindset and trying to make decisions and live my life as the person that I want to be, which we know is not always easy. But this week, it's pretty easy, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. Also returned just last week from, actually, it's been a whole entire week now since I returned from a trip to my home state of Michigan. And I will tell you something, people. Even though I had to cut my trip short because I got sick again, my own fault. I just started eating shit. I've been eating really well, not being sick. And then of course, the second that I start traveling and eating crap food and food on the run, guess what? Get sick again. Anyway, this is the glory of being in your glory years. That aside, I had such a fucking amazing time. I just wanted to take this trip. The last trip that I took to Michigan, I went with my husband, which was wonderful. My niece got married. It was a great time. The time before that, it was my yearly trip with the girls, which is lovely, but it's a focus trip, right? I have not been back solo where I've had the luxury and the time to catch up with people. I know we live in a remote work world, and I am, of course, an advocate of that, having done that for many years. And there's so much that we can accomplish in our own houses. And I am in many ways a homebody. I do like hanging out at home. I just do. I love my husband. I love my dog. I just kind of hang out. But also, as kind of a hybrid extrovert, I need to get my cup filled with other people. And there are a lot of good other people in Michigan. I've got a lot of my family there, a lot of friends, and a lot of former colleagues that I call friends. And I got to catch up with a ton of them in my trip. And it was just so cup filling to converse, to hug, to catch up with people. I mean, I saw 3 members of my former work team that I haven't seen in most of them in person in probably 6 or 7 years. And I got to have lunch with a group of women that I go on vacation with every year but don't see otherwise. And I got to see my sister and her family and spend the night with them. And I had coffee with my first boss at my first job, he was my boss for 16 years, 15 years. And it was wonderful. Just we hadn't seen each other in a long time. And again, you fall right into these great conversations, and you're right back there. And that's what I love about great relationships is it doesn't matter how much time you are apart. It doesn't matter how few times a year I see my siblings or my nieces and nephews. We just fall right back into it like it was yesterday. So I think that's part of why I'm feeling so good is I got my cup filled. And I've been doing a lot of work on my mindset, right? Something that I always have to work with. I always have to be conscious of not getting too sarcastic and bitter because that's kind of my nature. I think it's really most of our natures to be negative because that's how we survived in the world for as we evolved. But just trying to do some positive mind work and put myself in the mindset of, what I want to be. Part of that effort is my physical identity, which has been, if you follow this program, or if you have been a part of my branding world and social media, has been all over the place. Usually on this call, I'm wearing some sort of funky hat. And I love hats. I love my steampunk hat. I do like hats. But sometimes, and certainly lately, I've been wearing hats because I'm just too lazy or just unmotivated to do anything with my hair. Well, guess what? It looks pretty fucking amazing today because I'm just taking a little bit more effort. And it feels good to do that. That doesn't mean that you have to do that or that there's anything wrong with people that just get out of bed and just whatever. For me, I feel better when I put myself together a little bit. One of the areas that I've struggled in putting myself together in the past is clothing. I used to call myself fashion impaired. And I'm not going to use that word anymore. I'm not going to use that phrase because words matter, right? Really, it was I just didn't know what to wear that felt like me, but also I thought looked good and fun and made me stand out so that my inner badass is shown to the outside world, other than a steampunk hat, right? But beyond the steampunk hat, doing a podcast, I'm in hoodies, I'm in t-shirts, I'm in drab shorts, and really just not paying a whole lot of attention. My closet was full of earth tones and drab, navy, gray. Again, nothing wrong with that. A lot of people can rock that. But I like color. I mean, I like things like purple hair. And, back in the day, I was the blue hair with the, funky 80s shit. I would find lately that when I did take a little time to get myself dressed up for something like a networking call, I would look in the mirror and I would think two things. Number one is, yeah, I look good. I mean, I can rock, I had the hair cut short last year, and so I was kind of rocking the short haircut, and I've sort of started embracing the Bride of Frankenstein gray. And I would put on a nice sweater, a nice blouse, and a maybe a scarf, and I would look good and some nice earrings. I'd look good. But I also felt like I looked like my mom. That was the second thought, is like I look like my mom. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. My mom, if you're watching on video, you can see her kind of behind me back in the 70s, picture on my wall, because my mom was a beautiful woman, physically beautiful and spiritually beautiful as well. So when I say I look like my mom and it upset me a little bit, it's not because my mom was ugly. My mom was a very attractive woman, but it was because it just didn't feel like me. I felt like a middle-aged woman in the 80s, right? There was just something about when I would look at myself in the mirror. So when Stella Scott, my friend on LinkedIn, whom I was connected with on LinkedIn, reached out to me several months ago and said, "Hey, I'm doing this beta program it's called Classy Vintage Mastery. It's all about clothing. And by the way, it's all about thrift store clothing." I thought this is a kismet, as my friend Corey Joe says, it's a kismet moment. I thought this is exactly what I need right now because I'm feeling the need, the urge to up my appearance a little bit. Again, nothing wrong with being completely 100% natural, but I just felt like I wanted to be a little bit more out there. Again, a little bit more badass. So I said, yes, Stella, sign me up. And I really had no idea what to expect. I thought maybe this is going to be a program that helped me define my style, helped me be a little bit more fashion savvy, maybe work a little bit on color. And I will tell you, it did all of those things. But it was so much more, so much more. One of the key components of Stella's program is talking about the impact that we have on the world, the earth, the environment through our clothing. Because we tend to be a kind of a throwaway society. Well, certainly in the United States, we are probably the kings and queens of and also the jokers of throwaway, right? We are all about our stuff. And I lump myself right in there. I was a let's go to Amazon, instant gratification, whatever I need, I can find it brand new, cheap. Never thinking at all about number one, my impact to the environment and to the world. Number two, not thinking about how to take care properly of my clothing. Back in the day, even when I was a kid, back in the 80s, if you something got ripped, I had a lot of kids in my family and we were not rich people. So if something ripped or something happened, we had to fix it, right? We had to, until we outgrew it, we had to find some way to repair it. But we've kind of outgrown it because clothing is now cheap, right? So that was another component. It was, how to take care of your clothing, how to minimize your impact on the earth when you buy clothing. And one of the big ways to do that is to buy used clothing, which I know there are some people that are probably listening that are going, ew, used, believe me, look, it's fine. If you knew what was on your new clothing, you probably wouldn't say that. So Stella's program was amazing. So again, I got to explore my fashion style through time eras, through fashion genres, through color and different colors and how they affect other people, but also my impact to Earth and the environment and our climate based on my clothing decisions. So at this point in my life, I'm basically only buying clothes secondhand. And and I love it because I love thrift shopping. I love a challenge. And believe me, for a nice, voluptuous girl like me, thrift store, vintage store, charity shop shopping is a challenge, right? Because if you, any of you truffle shufflers out there like myself who've ever been to a Goodwill or a Salvation Army or a St. Vincent de Paul or whatever your consignment charity shop, you know there are racks and racks and racks of small, medium, and large. But anything beyond that is slim pickings, no pun intended, or maybe I did. So, but I will tell you, it's still a ton of fun. And to walk away from a thrift shop and knowing that number one, I am not making a greater impact on the environment because I'm choosing used clothing. Number one, brilliant thing that happens. But number two, that I'm not spending hundreds of dollars on a couple of items. I'm literally buying sometimes hundreds of items for, a few dollars, relatively speaking. It's such a good feeling. And you can find some good shit. The shirt I'm wearing today, if you're on video, this is a lovely sort of, I would say, Indian sort of style paisley, but it's a turquoise and it's just really comfortable and got this thing in the store for $4. So that's another, again, another plus. So I went into this program initially. My hope was I'm going to uncover my style and on some fashion and learn something about maybe, what I can buy that I'll like more, that I won't feel like I look like my mom. And what I found out was I actually really do have a sense of fashion and a sense of style. And some of the homework that we did and the exercises we did helped to kind of refine that. And I did have a few little surprises. Like I love Russian stuff, like Russian clothing, like embroidery, weird. But to no surprise, I'm a boho 70s kind of a person, probably influenced by my mom. Again, if you're on video, you can see her little picture behind me with her 70s leather jacket and her little hairband. Hairband. Shot through the heart, and you're to blame, darling. You give love a bad name. Not a hairband, a headband, although it is a hairband, but different connotation. Bon Jovi. Um, so it probably influenced a little bit by her, but yeah, like boho stuff. It was so overall not what I expected, but so much more and wonderful than I expected. So, Stella, thank you. Your program, your class, the Classy Vintage Mastery, was amazing, and I'm so happy that you asked me or told me about it. And then I was able to be a part of that because I really learned so much about clothing, about myself, and also, um, got a better sense of my style and really started embracing. So I'm 100% right now, vintage used clothing that I'm wearing and purchasing, other than shoes. But so if anybody knows a good place where I can buy a nice chiffon, like a long chiffon red scarf, because Stella also told me in an astrology reading that I need to embrace more fire element in my life, which is red. So I'm looking for a nice long used chiffon scarf. Anyway, so that's kind of my story. If Stella is to offer this classy vintage mastery class again, well, first of all, before I get to that, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, go look up Stella Scott. She is a lovely Swedish lady with the curly hair, very fashionable. You'll recognize her right away. I'll try to include her information, maybe in a link in the video or in the audio. But look her up or contact me and I will give you her information. So that's the first thing is make sure that you're connected with Stella. Second thing is I believe she plans on offering this at some point in the future. Sign up, take it. It is worth it, worth every penny. You will learn so much about yourself, about your impact on the world, and your relationship with clothing. It's just really amazing. So thank you, Stella. Thank you for thinking of me when you started this program. And for all of you out there, especially those of you who might have thought in the past, or maybe think now, that you're fashion impaired, maybe you aren't. Maybe you just need to explore a little bit. So check it out. It is just such a great class. Other than that, again, feeling really good. Feeling really good about getting a podcast in. I hope this has been entertaining and interesting for you. Please reach out and get in touch with me if you are on LinkedIn. You can reach me at Beth Ann Campbell. If you're on Facebook or Instagram or the Meta Suite, I am the Bean67. Also out there on TikTok, but that's mostly for my other podcast called The View from Olympus, which is my alter ego deity Hecate and my partner Dwayne/Amun-Ra judging humans, because let's face it, if you're on social media, you know that humans are just kind of fucked up. So, but we have a lot of fun doing it. So check that one out if you're out there. Beyond that, I have a final message for you. It's very important. You, inside and out, whether you're wearing hoodies and brown hoodies or you're wearing like red hot stilettos and a fucking evening gown, you are a fucking badass. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Take it easy. Hey everybody, thank you for stopping by Cafe Grit, where the moxie is fresh, the passion cold brewed, and everything is served with a heaping side of mojo. For more Cafe Grit episodes, please check out bethanncampbell.com/cafegrit. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider giving it a rating or review on YouTube, Buzzsprout, or your favorite streaming platform. I'll be forever grateful, and in return, I'll wish upon you copious amounts of bacon, your favorite hot beverage, and of course, pie. I'd love to connect and hear about your grit experiences as well. Please go to bethanncampbell.com for links to all my social media. Cafe Grit is a product of Beth Ann Campbell, LLC, all rights reserved. Thanks again, and remember, you are a badass. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Take it easy.